What's going on, YouTube? It's been too long. It's been like a year and a half since I put a new video out. Just been too busy with work, or mainly just been too lazy to put a new video out. So I'm gonna do a video for this. I've had this for about four-ish months, and I think I shot it enough to do a decent sub amateur quality video over this. So before we get started, this is my SPR, obviously, my take on it. I personally think SPR should be 18 inches or so in barrel length. That way you get the optimal velocity, which adds to the range, and not too much sacrificing of mobility. Obviously though, there's Mark 12s that were made that were 16 inches, and then mine is also 16 inches. But yeah, that leads into my first point. So when I was looking at this upper receiver, which the upper receiver itself is a BCM BFH 16 inch, I was looking at the 18 inch SS410 barrel, which is their like precision barrel. It's stainless steel and all that. But the reason I didn't go with the 18 is because I was going to be adding this full-size RC2 on there. It adds about 4 inches overall, but the can's 6 inches. The reason why it adds 4 inches overall is because it goes over the muzzle, obviously. But yeah, that's the reason why I went with the 16 compared to the 18. I still wanted to do somewhat up close stuff with this thing, so I went with the 16. Compared to this, my SPR, my 11.5, this has the Surefire 3-prong instead of the SFMB. There's nothing really much to talk about the 3-prong. There's nothing wrong with it. It hides the flash very well, unsuppressed, and it really just does its job. So there's not really much of a talking point with the flash hider itself. So that's a pretty good thing, I guess you could say. Moving on to the bipod, we got a Atlas PSR bipod. Very well constructed bipod, just very expensive. So I'm used to the Harris bipods. So moving from the Harris to this was sort of a learning curve, because usually I'll tie some knots around both legs with a loop, and I'll pull, and that will quickly deploy both the legs on the Harris. For these, you have to actuate these buttons, and it will lock into the position that you desire, and that's how this one's deployed. Ton of adjustments though compared to the Harris. You got your forward 45, your 90, your back 45, which is kind of weird, and then your 0 degree rearward. But the construction quality is just second to none. And then how you extend it is you'll pull these collars down and, move it to your desired length. So I'm happy with the bipod. It's just a lot of money. I think they go for like $350 or somewhere around $300. Moving back towards the rail, right now I just have a QD for my sling. And then on this side, I'm gonna add a Surefire Vampire light, the mini one, because right now I have no IR flood, and that's really all I want. I don't really want a white light on here, more so just the IR illuminator. So there's not gonna be any land that's going on here or nothing like that. Moving on, added some Gear Aid grip tape, really just indexing where I like to grip the gun from a standing perspective or a kneeling position. And then it just adds some texture and some camouflage. That's really all. Nothing too special about it. Then moving on to the biggest thing, or the biggest talking point, is going to be the scope or the optics package itself. Try to get a good angle on it. So the optic itself is a soup sandwich of words. It's the NX8 2.5 or 2.5 to 20 first focal plane mil-XT reticle. So a lot of words all jumbled together. It's just a badass scope at the end of the day. They have a second focal plane option if you're more inclined with second focal plane than you are first, but I like first focal plane. It's sitting inside a NIGHTFORCE Ultra mount I have the NIGHTFORCE multi-mount top ring adapter up here. And then for the P2, I use this company I came across on Instagram, which was super cool. Cool little story for you on that. Came across them, never heard of them before, and I sent him a DM because I knew I was gonna run a 12 o'clock RDS. I just was running into so many issues with this elevation turret. As you guys can see, it's very tall and it even blocks half of this window for the P2. They sent me their sort of blueprints, if you will, on the making of their mount. So the two problems I was running into was I was running the NIGHTFORCE mount with the multi-mount top scope ring. And I wasn't finding a lot of companies that were using the NIGHTFORCE interface for their own mount. Koeng did. Koeng, how you spell that is K-O-E-N-G. And they sent me the blueprints on the clearance of the turret. So it blocks about half of the window, maybe 3/4 of it. So you can still use it and it will clear the elevation turret. And then they sent me the height over bore in inches from the P2 down to the bore. And then they did the same thing for the clearance of the elevation turret, which I thought was really cool. So they eased my decision on purchasing their product. I zeroed at 50. They recommend zeroing at 100, but I have no purpose shooting past 100 meters with the P2. I'll tell you my purposes for the P2 in a second, but yeah, I've ran with it since and it's been phenomenal, really. Even shooting passively with nods, I can still see the dot just as clear as if there was no turret there, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, that's why I got the P2. It's a tank of an optic, and I wanted to keep pretty much the same footprints on all my guns. I have two P2s on my Glocks. I got one on my Glock 45 and one on my 19. And this, I'm super partial to the P2s. But the biggest reason I wanted a 12 o'clock dot was if I am shooting, let's say 600-700 meters away, I just put the dot on the engagement area or the target itself. So I'll just find the engagement area and then I'll drop back behind the glass. So it's pretty nice instead of having to mess with the magnification and then look for said target while I'm behind the glass. This is so much quicker. And then, as I previously said, shooting under nods. That's why I got there. Next on the scope is the 100 scope caps. These are super cool. They protect your optic. They eliminate the reflection of the glass with the honeycomb ARD. They're just so damn loud. So if they make a rubber one, gonna buy it immediately because you basically have to pick these up and then deliberately place them so they're nice and quiet. If you don't do that, it's super loud. See? So if they make rubber ones, that'd be nice. If they don't, it's what it is. And then the Kool-Aid in me, I had to inline bowline to the rail just because this costs so much money. So the little Kool-Aid bug in me just like tie them down. So 550'd them to the rail, and after that I just added some camouflaging aspects to the scope body. Other than that, just a Radiant Raptor charging handle and this little bubble leveler I bought on Amazon with a pick attachment. Cost me like 20 bucks on Amazon, and I did that because the NIGHTFORCE one for the scope ring is like pretty close to 100 bucks after shipping, and I'm like, absolutely not. And that thing's been running great, honestly, for 20 bucks. So that's the whole build. Moving on to the accuracy, this is where the camera budgeting or the video quality is gonna differ. So usually YouTubers will have, they'll drop pictures and stuff of their accuracy with pictures of their prints of groups. I'm not gonna do that, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But I got 3 boxes of ammo that shot the best for me with 2 of the worst. We'll start with the best one. I was very surprised by this box. I got recommended this at the local gun store to me, and I was skeptical on using it because I used Frontier before, like in 2016, 17, I think it was the first time I shot them. It was just their 62 grain stuff, and they shot okay, but it wasn't anything to brag about. But this is the Frontier loaded with Hornady bullets, 75 grain boat tail hollow point match. And I printed a 1.3 inch group with this. My second best was this Hornady match 223 Remington 75 grain boat tail hollow point. This is really recommended for 1 to 9 twist or faster, but it still shot pretty good. I shot 1.6 group with this. Moving on to the third. This is a 5.56 NATO 75 grain boat tail hollow point with their amp jacket, and this printed a 2 MOA. And moving on to the quote worst, it was still really good. The Hornady Black 223 Remington 75 grain boat tail hollow point match was a 2.3 inch group. So they both shot really great. Printing 2 MOA out of a gas gun or under is honestly phenomenal. Don't get wrapped around in that MOA rabbit hole. The worst ammo I shot was M193. And by the way, all these groups were at 100 meters. So M193 was pretty crappy. That shot about 3 3/4. I think the best group I had with M193 was 3.5. It was never below that. Even after the break-in period for the barrel, I did not print any better than that with M193. M855 shot very surprisingly good for ball ammo though. I'd have to look at my notebook, but I want to say it was around 2 1/4. I don't think I got down to 2 even, but that's still pretty good for ball ammo. I think the 62 grain really helped out with that. The 55 grain, I feel like it was just flying around so much. Some of it obviously is probably human error. I'm not the best shot in the world, but it's all under 4 MOA. That's standard for the barrel for BCM, and I think that's even the mill standards for MOA on their carbines. But I'm not too upset about any of it. I wasn't expecting 1 MOA, nor am I chasing it. If I really was chasing 1 MOA, I'd drop a different barrel in here and go with like Proof Research or White Oaks Armament and get a 1 MOA barrel. But it shot relatively good. I was pleased with it. A lot of people have even, probably some of you guys watching will probably say it's just shit, but chasing 1 MOA out of a gas gun is pretty hard. So very achievable though. But other than that, I'm just gonna keep shooting. It's been treating me nice so far. I would love one day to get a thermal clip on, like a Rico, put it up front. That'd be nice. That'd be ideal. But yeah, other than that, if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments. If I didn't answer anything of me just rambling, so I'll try to respond to them. I suck at responding to comments. I'll try. So hope y'all had a good one.